Somebody comes in and pushes up against it, push back if you want to get it done. Jerry has done such a good job of running the department in a business-like way, with, by the way, many fewer employees, not based on firing anybody, because in a state where you have lower unemployment but unemployment too high, the answer is not to just go out and fire people. It's to manage what you have, and when people leave, you train people to do multitasks. But as a result of being business-like, Jerry has actually been able to get money that could have been spent by other states who were not ready to carry out their projects. And Ohio has got their money, and we're spending it on our roads. Don't tell anybody, okay? Did you ever think that could be the case? Where instead of Ohio being the patsy for somebody else is giving us their resources to do what we need to do and want to do in our state. That's a pretty good record. I think you should clap for Jerry Ray. And of course now we're talking about additional infrastructure program. Now I understood that just a week ago the Turnpike applied for admission as an independent nation at the United Nations, and their application is pending. Okay?
They run the Turnpike.
Let me ask you a question. If you had a great, how many of you own businesses in here? How many of you own businesses? What do the rest of you do? What are the rest? You work for businesses, right? Okay. How many of you who own businesses think that you have a valuable piece of equipment sitting in the barn and you are not using it, and what you ought to do is just continue to sit on it? How many of you in business would say, it's an asset that is underutilized, it's sitting in the barn, I could get something for it, but I'm going to let it just sit in the barn because I'm frankly more comfortable with it sitting there? How many of you would make that decision? Nobody. Well then, why would we have an asset in our state that is underutilized, where value could be captured from that asset and can be used to generate jobs and also the ability to do the infrastructure needs that we have in a state that is within 600 miles to 60% of the country? Now, how many of you think we ought to figure out how to extract value from that asset and use the extracted value of that asset to do more to benefit Ohio? Could I have a show of hands? Okay? Does that mean the rest of you then think we should just leave the tractor in the barn? But you know why you're afraid to answer? Fear. Fear. What are you afraid of, by the way? I wish somebody could really explain to me what the fear is that's behind this. Because you don't even know what the plan is yet, and you're fearful of it. Now, I've always found that in my lifetime, the best way to deal with fear is to deal with today, not with tomorrow. So why don't we stop projecting things on the future and hear what the plan is, okay? Because we're going to need you. And in fact, I want to compliment this organization because you supported the idea of a study to figure out whether there was unextracted value in that asset, and if there was, what we can do about it. And before the end of this year, you're going to get your answer. And I think the answer is going to be very good. And the answer is going to allow Ohio to move forward. But we have to, as Ohioans, we got such great potential to not be afraid to shoot the ball. You know, I remember the old days when the scores in the basketball game used to be like 6-3, and then they put a clock in, okay? And the fact is, if you're not willing to take chances, if you're not willing to innovate, you go backwards.